Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is pro CrossFit Contender and Titan Games winner, Dani Speegle. Dani, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate the time.
Of course, this is a really important conversation, and it couldn't come at a better time. Women's History Month. You are behind the Girls Who Eat campaign. Can you first tell us what inspired the movement?
I think it was just my own personal experiences. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of really good role models to look at when it came to strong women. And so it's very simply put, is I just want to inspire women and help them love their bodies, love themselves. So that's the goal of the entire movement. It's all about the women.
Dani, I was watching a video of you, and something that really struck me and resonated with me. You said that you didn't want food to be connected, quote, so intimately to your happiness. Can you unpack that for us?
Yeah, of course. So I know that a lot of women struggle with just eating habits and eating in front of people, eating, certain foods that they've deemed are, evil or that people frown upon. But I love eating. Food is something that does bring me an immense amount of happiness. And so having to limit that or feeling that you can't eat a certain amount or a certain food, a lot of people, and especially women, they struggle with being able to like tie food with happiness. They usually see it as something where it brings a lot of stress. So that they're going out to, dinner with friends, stress. If they are getting together for like a family dinner, stress. If they're thinking about, should I eat this or should I eat that, stress. So I just want it to not be so tied so intimately with happiness. You should just eat because you're fueling your body, or because it's the holidays, like you just want to enjoy food. So it should provide happiness, it should provide fuel, but it shouldn't be so tied to like if you have to limit something or if you feel some kind of, societal pressures. It shouldn't be tied to happiness in that way.
Can you walk us through how you got to this mindset?
It's been a long journey. So, like every other woman, I've had my bouts of difficulties when it comes to self-confidence and body dysmorphia. So, I had a really bad relationship in college and I was at a very low point. And so that's when I actually found CrossFit. And CrossFit itself kind of helped me to realize that food should be seen as fuel and that strong bodies need fuel. And I wanted to be strong. And so it just developed very naturally from that. So just not conforming to the societal norms of, skinny is beautiful and just really sticking with my belief that strong is beautiful really helped just perpetuate the whole journey.
Something that's really interesting is CNN just did this study, and they found that more women now are lifting at the gym. They're not just doing cardio machines, they're using dumbbells, weight machines, things like that. Why do you think women now are feeling more empowered to do these types of things?
I think it's really become like a movement, just like we, saw a couple years ago that the plus size, journey started happening in some higher fashion, magazines and, even like lingerie brands. It's just the times are turning and women are realizing that the stick figure look isn't healthy. It might be, something that someone can obtain and that's just their genetics, but to sit at a computer screen or your phone and say, I'm not going to eat this meal so I can look like that, it's not in anymore. We're not skipping meals to look like something. So I think a lot of women are just like seeing like, oh, like muscle is good. Some curves are good. I want to be strong in the gym. I don't just want to, sit on an elliptical and, eat an apple and like a piece of lettuce for lunch. That doesn't bring anybody health. It doesn't bring anybody happiness. So I think women in general are just tired of living that kind of life and holding themselves to these expectations of looking like runway, the old fashioned like runway models. I think everyone just is ready to be healthy and strong. And it's just a movement that women all over the world are just saying like, yeah, I'm gonna get behind that.
I love that. Eating is in. So tell us more about Girls Who Eat.
So the whole girls who eat thing is, if you look at it at a very surface level, is, we fuel our bodies so we can be strong, we can perform in the gym, we can continue to lift those weights. So again, on a surface level, it is just about girls who eat. We're confident in eating, we're fueling our bodies. But if you break it down to what it means on a lot of like the deeper levels, it's really about how I don't want women to continue to be categorized and seen just because of how their body looks. I want it to just be women can do anything, and then the sentence stops. So, for example, I mean, we hear it all the time. Women can do this no matter the shape and size of their body. And it's always kind of this like run-on thing. But let me ask you, like, do you ever hear like, oh, guys can do this no matter the shape and size of their body? Have you ever heard that sentence?
Never in my life have I heard really anyone talking about a man's body in any way comparable to them talking about a woman's body.
Yeah. So it's really, if they're talking about a man, it's you can do this no matter your age. You can do this no matter your like physical activity level. It's never like because of the shape of a man's body. Women are constantly defined and categorized because of the shape of their body. And I want that whole narrative to stop. Women are incredible. Our bodies can do incredible things. And we have to just get away from this whole thing that we're going to categorize women in these different just like these shapes. We're like, oh, well, we've got plus size, we've got skinny, you got all these things. And so that's really the message is I want women to feel so confident in their body, it's no longer even an issue. And so if they can get rid of this consciousness that ties so closely to self-worth because of what their body looks like, it holds them back in a lot of ways, and confidence just to do other things, to enhance themselves in their career, to take on their career plus a family. And so I just want to erase all that so women just don't even worry about it anymore. And we have to do better by women. If we want them to start succeeding and being more confident and bigger roles in the world, we have to stop saying, well, sure, you can do this even with the shape of your body. It's just demeaning and it needs to stop.
Yeah, it's really interesting how deeply body image is tied to self-worth. This seems personal for you. It's personal for me. I'm sure you really talk to any woman, and body image is extremely personal to her. So what has the response been to Girls Who Eat?
It's been amazing, to be honest with you. The feedback has been incredible, and the messages I've received have been incredible, just touching, very humbling, in fact. So women have been wonderful about it. Men who are associated with women intimately, their wives, their sisters, their daughters, they've been very supportive. So the feedback in general has been absolutely wonderful and is a great push to continue on the mission.
I want to talk about when you noticed this larger shift in the conversation. As you said earlier, before it's always, you have to be skinny, size 0, watch what you're eating, restrict your diet, that type of thing. So when has this language really centered more about self-worth and self-love?
So I think right when a lot of like bigger like mainstream like fashion industries and lingerie brands like Victoria's Secret, they started doing the whole plus size model thing. They started saying like, well, all bodies are beautiful. And I think the conversation really kind of started there when you saw it in more, notable brands. They started like taking notice. You even see it in places like Target, where they have like the plus size mannequins nowadays. So they're trying this new inclusivity thing. And so that's where I think the conversation really started. I think it evolved because it used to just be, okay, well, we're not just going to do these stick thin figures. We're going to also have this other body shape. But we're missing a huge gap. We're looking at skinny and plus size, but we're missing this whole like strong. We're just missing the strong body and the strong female figure. And that's the conversation that I want to go towards. So I know that we have done better by women, and I think the conversation did turn to a good path when we started like really including like the plus size models in the day to day. But again, like I said, we're missing a huge group of women, and I think we're missing the key point. So we're saying like love your body, no matter what, skinny, plus size, but we want health. And I think that's like there was a disconnect there.
How do we close the gap? It sounds like you're saying that area still needs improvement. It's really good to celebrate where we've come, but what's next here?
I think just Again, just focusing on the health. Like women want to be strong. You said it earlier, is they're in the gym, they're lifting the weights, they want to pack on muscle. They realize that being strong is awesome, it's beautiful. And so we just need to continue that narrative. We need to stop shaming women because they're lifting weights. Like that's something that I get all the time is because I have muscle on my body, I receive a lot of negative comments on the internet because we'll just say it because of a lot of insecure men out there. And with those kind of negative interactions that are going on such a widespread platform like the social media platforms, a lot of women are going to get discouraged. You just have to keep pushing the message that health is key. Lifting weights is good for your body. It's good for a lot of things that happen with your body. Strong is awesome. Strong is beautiful. So we just have to keep pushing that narrative. And women should want to feel empowered and women lifting up women. And we just can't let the negative energy that surrounds some of this, like some of the very, very outdated and old school stereotypes. We just have to continue to break those. And so we have to shift the narrative of, yes, love your body no matter what path you're on, what stage of the journey you are on, but you should always be aiming for health. And so I think the whole body positivity trend went a little too far because we were like, love your body no matter what. But I want love your body no matter what, as long as you're on a path to health. So if you're healthy, that's key. Love your body if it's healthy, but love your body even if it's not, but love your journey to get to a healthy stage. So that's the narrative that we're trying to get towards.
You mentioned the comments component, and I want to ask you, how do you block out the noise? Because it's one thing to feel super confident in your health journey, in your path, but then you see one comment, and even the most confident person can be put into a spiral. So, what's your advice to people to block out kind of the haters, I guess?
That's I actually I get this question a lot and I get a lot of hatred on the internet. That's something that comes every single day. But for every bad comment, I get 100 great ones. And so I just have to I keep fighting for the women who are out there who also get the negative comments and they may not understand. So I share a lot of the hateful comments I get through my platform to show, hey, I get them. Everybody gets them. We just can't, you just can't let hate win. It's like such an old school thing to say is, you can't let the hate win. And that doesn't provide change. And so we just have to keep striving to be better and you can't please everybody, and no matter what, it's everyone's going to have someone who dislikes them. You're always going to have haters, and if you don't, you're not doing your job correctly. So you're obviously doing something right if someone wants to say something about anything that you're doing. So it's just more of, keep your head up and realize that you're not alone. If you're getting hateful comments on the internet, you are not alone. We're all getting them. So we just have to like band together, especially as women, like, hashtag 2023, like female power. You stick together and just realize that you're not alone.
I love that. And Dani, you recently signed with fitness brand Tier. How are they supporting this message?
They've been incredible throughout this whole journey. So a lot of times when athletes partner with brands, it's very much a transactional. You're going to wear the clothes and we're going to sponsor you and then mutually beneficial and write a paycheck, shake hands, walk away. So they have just, I get messages all the time like, hey, how do you want to do this in a larger scale? Do you want to bring this to a competition? How do you want to outreach to bigger platforms? How do you want to bring this outside of the CrossFit space? And so it's a very intimate relationship that I have with them, and they're very much behind the message. And so it's not something they were like, okay, well, that's cool, we support it, but make sure you're wearing a Tier shirt. It was very much, how do we support this and how do we help? And so they're helping spread the message. We've already had conversations about like more inclusive sizing and stuff. So they're making changes and they're open to everything that I want to do. So it's just nice to have someone who actually cares and they don't just like care when the camera's on.
Of course. And I guess on a macro level, why do you think more brands have come around to being more inclusive, to getting behind a message instead of, like you said, being more transactional? We give you the brand, you wear a t-shirt.
It's important. I think just more people realize that it's important that you can't, if you're, silence is taking a side. So if you're not going to say something and you're not going to promote a certain message, like again, silence is what you're just standing behind. So if you want change, then you have to promote it. And people, in companies, it's not just the whole company. Like, there are people within that company, there are women within that company, there are men with wives who have struggled with this, there are men with daughters who they don't want to see struggle with this. And so I think, as women, we're like, yeah, like we have to we have to perpetuate the goodness of this whole message. And then if you're a man, you're like, like, I don't want my daughter to grow up with these issues. I watched my sister go through it. I watched my mother go through it. I watched my wife go through it. I do not want this for my daughter. And so I think people are just coming around to the idea that they are the change. If they want there to be a better environment for the future generations, like, the change has to start now. And so I think everyone's just kind of waking up and realizing that, especially in a position of power in companies like this, like, they have an obligation to just do better and be a part of the change.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm glad that companies and people are finally waking up. And Dani, if you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Don't take such stock into what young children say and what you see on the internet. So even when I was little, I took such very innocent things that kids would say to heart, and it stuck with me. You hear words like big as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and it breaks you. And so I was always very muscular, and so that was something I struggled with. So I would just, almost want to, like, shake my younger self and just, say to her, like, your body is incredible. The things that you'll do are amazing, and most of the people in this world will not be able to do what your body can do. So don't spend 1 second hating it at all. So,
what an important message.
Wish I could just shake her.
I feel the same way about my little self as well. Dani Speegle, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Really appreciate your time today.